In this video, we'll be taking a look at one NFL game happening on January 25th, 2026 and providing you with a free team pick and total pick for this game, so 2 picks in total. Welcome back to Cash Out Sports. Let's dive right into it. Oh, and don't forget to subscribe and to click the bell icon to get notified as soon as these videos get released so that you have more time to plan out your bets as we provide these videos on a daily basis. I can guarantee that you'll have all the important information that you'll need on this one NFL game after fully watching this video. One more thing before we start, if you would like to gain access to our best exclusive sports picks to take your journey to the next level, then check out our Patreon in the link down below, where we offer our best single picks, parlay picks, and much more. Now let's get started. New England Patriots versus Denver Broncos. The New England Patriots and Denver Broncos meet Sunday in the American Football Conference Championship at Empower Field, with a trip to the Super Bowl sitting there like a golden ticket for the winner. Both teams are hot, both fan bases are restless, and both coaches know that one bad quarter can undo 4 months of work. New England comes in after knocking off the Chargers and Texans, and that is not a fluke run. The Patriots have taken 15 of their last 16 games, stacking wins the way a meticulous accountant stacks spreadsheets, neat and relentless. They are chasing their first Super Bowl appearance since the 2018 season, and you can sense that this group carries a bit of that old organizational swagger, even though the roster and staff have changed. This is also the first time in this postseason that New England has to pack a bag and play away from home, which matters in January, especially in Denver's altitude. Even so, their form has traveled. The Patriots have allowed just 19 points and only 1 touchdown in the first 2 playoff rounds, and across their last 4 games, they have surrendered a total of 39 points. That is the sort of defensive consistency that makes offensive coordinators stare at tablets a little longer than they would like. Against the number, New England has been money for bettors all season. They are now 14-5 against the spread, which shows that the market has been slow to fully catch up to how efficient and steady this team is. On the road, when asked to lay points, Mike Vrabel's squad responded with a 3-1 straight-up record and a perfect 4-0 against the spread. Those wins came against the Titans, Saints, Bengals, and Jets, a mix of styles and venues that suggests this team is not picky about where it gets the job done. On the other side, Denver's road to this game is just as impressive. The Broncos beat the Bills and the Chargers, and they have now won 14 of their last 15 contests. And they are trying to get back to the Super Bowl for the first time since the 2015 season, that run that ended with a Lombardi Trophy in early 2016. For a fan base that has lived on defensive identity and big game memories, another crack at the Super Bowl feels overdue. The twist, of course, is under center. The top-seeded Broncos are turning to backup quarterback Jarrett Stidham to beat his former team and send Denver to the big game. Stidham steps in for Bo Nix, who suffered an ankle injury in overtime of last week's 33-30 divisional win over Buffalo. Nix threw for 279 yards and 3 touchdowns in that thriller, guiding Denver past one American Football Conference East opponent, and now the Broncos need to get past another. New England has to travel into that environment after 2 home wins, while Denver leans on a quarterback who used to share their locker room. That adds a bit of extra soap opera energy to an already massive game. Stidham has history here, too. He played 8 games for the Patriots from 2019 through 2021, so this is not some complete unknown walking in off the street. He is making his first start since the 2023 season finale against the Raiders, when he threw for 272 yards and a touchdown in a 27-14 defeat. That was not a masterpiece, but it showed that he can function as a starter, read a defense, and get the ball downfield. Denver's resume as an underdog quietly holds up. The Broncos won and covered in both of their chances as home underdogs, beating Kansas City and Green Bay in front of their own fans. Overall in 2025, they put together a 4-1 record against the spread when catching points, with outright road wins at Houston and Philadelphia sprinkled in. So when you hear home underdog with a strong defense, that is not just a romantic idea here, it is supported by what they have already done this season. Now, on the surface, the Patriots feel like the easy call. They have won 16 of their 19 games and are 14-5 against the spread, and that is the kind of combination that makes casual bettors say, almost automatically, just lay it. The Broncos, meanwhile, are starting a backup quarterback who has not thrown a pass in live action for a while. That setup screams potential blowout to a lot of people, yet the line sits at only 4.5 points. It feels a bit suspicious, like a sale sign that is just a little too generous. Here is where Denver's profile matters. We cannot ignore that this defense is one of the best in the league. The Broncos rank second in total defense and third in scoring defense, and that is not something you stumble into by accident. They are built to keep games in reach, even if the offense is not lighting up the scoreboard. In betting terms, that kind of defense tends to make every point you are catching as an underdog feel heavier. There is also the way Denver uses its quarterback, which changes how big the drop from Nix to Stidham might actually be. The Broncos do not typically put the entire offense on Bo Nix's shoulders. The plan has been straightforward and almost conservative at times. Stay ahead of the chains, make the safe throw, avoid the crippling turnover. There were 5 games this season in which Nix completed fewer than 20 passes, and that tells you plenty. This offense is not built like one of those quarterback has to throw 45 times groups. It is more like a well-run project where the star employee is important, but the system and the support team matter just as much. So while losing Nix hurts, it is not the same as losing a quarterback who is asked to be a one-man fireworks show on every drive. This is not a situation where Denver suddenly lost a player like Mahomes or Josh Allen, who defines everything their offense does. If Stidham simply manages the game, executes the structure, and avoids the catastrophic mistake, the Broncos can let their defense do the heavy lifting and keep this thing close. Given how strong that unit is, that is not wishful thinking. It is a very reasonable path. That is why getting this many points with Denver at home feels hard to ignore. Yes, it is a tough assignment for a backup quarterback with a trip to the Super Bowl on the line, and nobody is pretending otherwise. However, the market reaction to Nix going down seems a bit exaggerated, like the adjustment is pricing in a steeper fall-off than this particular offense really faces. So while New England's body of work is impressive, the combination of Denver's defense, their solid track record as an underdog, and the structure around Stidham makes the Broncos attractive with the points. As our first pick for this matchup, the Denver Broncos to cover the spread as underdogs is our full game side pick. Denver's recent totals profile points in a different direction than the spread narrative might suggest, and that is where things get interesting. To close the regular season, the Broncos went above the posted total in 4 of their final 6 games, then sailed past the number again in that 33-30 thriller against Buffalo. So on paper, they look like a team that has been living in higher scoring environments. New England has been trending that way too. The Patriots went above the total against the Texans in that sleet-filled win, 28-16 on a 41.5 number. That result marked the 6th time in the last 7 games that a New England contest went above the posted total. If you just glance at those trends, you might think this matchup is set up for another big scoreboard. However, the way those numbers have been built deserves a closer look. New England's defense has been excellent in its 2 home playoff games against the Chargers and Texans. Across those contests, the Patriots allowed an average of 224 yards per game, giving up only 4 field goals and 1 touchdown. That is extremely stingy. On offense, New England has shown 2 different faces in the postseason. They struggled to get to 16 points against the Chargers, grinding through a physical game where every yard felt expensive. Then, against Houston, they suddenly got to 28 points again, helped greatly by 5 Texans turnovers. That was the 6th time in their last 7 outings that they reached at least 28, but the context matters because short fields and extra possessions inflate scoring. Denver's defensive performance against Buffalo followed a similar pattern of turnover-driven chaos. The Broncos forced 5 turnovers against the Bills, with 2 interceptions and 3 fumbles recovered. That many sudden changes of possession is like giving an offense bonus coupons for extra chances, and that sort of turnover avalanche rarely shows up back-to-back. It is very unlikely that both defenses will once again sit on the helpful side of that many takeaways. So the big question for the total is how this game looks with a different offensive structure for Denver and more normal turnover luck. The Broncos' offense with Bo Nix at home had a clear ceiling it could hit. They went past 28 points in 5 home games with Nix starting, showing that when everything clicked, they could push the scoring. Now, with Jarrett Stidham stepping in, it is fair to expect a more cautious approach, more emphasis on avoiding mistakes, and fewer risk-heavy plays. That naturally caps the potential for explosive scoring, even if the offense still moves the ball. On the New England side, Drake May's efficiency has dipped a bit in the postseason. He completed 72% of his passes in the regular season, a very clean and controlled number. Across these 2 playoff wins, that mark has dropped to 58.9%. Some of that comes from facing strong defenses, but it also suggests that New England's passing game is not humming at peak precision right now. It is worth remembering who these defenses are. The Chargers and Texans both finished in the top 5 in yards allowed per game during the regular season, and the Patriots had to fight for every completed pass against them. Denver's defense slotted in second in yards allowed, right behind the very best in the league. So this matchup brings another high-level unit into the mix, and that tends to slow things down, extend drives, and push games toward more methodical football. Put it together, and the ingredients lean toward a more modest total. You have an elite Denver defense, a Patriots defense that is in form, a backup quarterback starting on the home side, and a visiting quarterback whose completion rate has fallen against better competition. Layer in the expectation that the wild turnover swings from last week regress closer to normal, and it becomes harder to project another loose, free-scoring shootout. Instead, this shapes up as a game where both teams have to work through long fields, punt a bit more often, and grind for points. When you balance the earlier high-scoring trends against the current quarterback situation and the defensive quality on both sides, the tilt is toward fewer total points than the recent box scores might suggest. So even though both teams have cashed several recent overs, this particular matchup has all the signs of a tighter, lower-scoring championship with longer drives and fewer freebies. As our second pick for this matchup, under the projected total is our full game total pick. That's all for now, so if you have any other games you would like reviewed, then leave a comment down below with the game you would like analyzed, subscribe to our channel, leave a like on this video, and we'll get to it as soon as we possibly can. We would also love to hear your opinion on the picks presented to you in this video, whether you agree or disagree with them, so leave a comment down below and do let us know.